Hello, Internet! It's time for another Wednesday's Serial. This edition is brought to you by Lamfrick. 10 years old, single malt, Scotch whiskey. We hope you enjoy. Ah, yes. Breathe it in and enjoy. It's Black Kiss 2, Issue 2. And it is a nice cry to have something a little more titillating than exciting, but it is a great read, and it's something else, and it plays a lot on the male ego and where certain people derive it from, something very male, and how that can lead you astray. It's an interesting take in that it's erotica mixed with horror, which is, a different way to take it, in a way that I'm sure has been played before, but certainly not in main press. The Cape 1969 continues, and we get the war story mixed with the Cape. In this issue, we finally see the powers come to light, and we see a touch of a revenge story, also a touch of a soldier, rising story. But it's also playing with the idea of morality that was raised in the original miniseries, where he's imbued with powers, but what he does seems to not purely come from a good place. Like, it's not heroic. And so I'm getting kind of some mixed messages. I mean, it kind of depends where you are in war stories and who's the hero there. Earth 2, Issue 0, and a misstep occurs. This book that's really charting out a new course and had a much later start than the other DC books is forced editorially to do this Issue 0, and I believe they're trying to play in a villain, make him somewhat sympathetic, and build around that. And for that, it's somewhat interesting, but this issue really feels like they're just playing with the toys that they don't get to play with again. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, then they have the tangentials off them in there as well for no good reason. And the issue's it's just there merely to set up this villain in the long run. In the short run, this comic just feels like it's such a throwaway issue, and I see the story that they're trying to tell. They're trying to set up the villain, the idea that I'm destroying things for the greater good and all that, but the way it plays out just doesn't make a lick of sense. So clearly he's nuts, but they don't play him in, a fun nuts way, so oh well. And the Fugitoid enters the new TMNT universe, and I have to say, this issue felt a bit more uninspired than a lot of the previous ones, though it's a fairly impossible task. I mean, you're taking a comic that's already been done really a couple times and trying to put a new spin on it, and all that they're doing is taking this classic character and then putting him into the status quo. In order to keep the character, there's a few story beats you have to hit, and they are tying it closer to the Turtles, now knowing that it actually is just going to be part of the Turtles verse. But I don't know, I mean, it's a decent read. If you've been going along with these, I don't think you'd be disappointed. If you know the history, if you don't know the history, I actually feel that this is one issue that might play a bit better for you, because all the unique original ideas are unique and original to you, rather than just kind of rehash for the sake of this retelling. Though it is interesting to see where the character fits in and actually has already appeared, though there's no way you could have known at the time. So it's expanding and building the world, which seems to really be what they're doing with these micro-series, so that's good. The new take on Venom continues with a different beat. We see this idea that a demon's been planted inside Venom, and he's trying to get it out. The only twist is the demon wants out, and it's such this weird take that, I mean, you were playing with all this metaphor of, like, the inner demon, demon in the bottle, the demon of the symbiote, and all this, like, addiction. But now he's so screwed up. The demon wants out and can't, and it just spins not only this issue, but in a lot of ways, like, everything you've read with this Venom on its head. And so that's so crazy. I mean, how often do you have an issue like that where it takes everything you've read about a character and just tweaks it a little bit? It may not be quite what Remender was doing, but no two writers are going to be exactly the same. But it's an interesting take on a character that definitely still has time to really develop before they hit a true status quo, and that's exciting stuff. Anyways, Deadpool continues like tumbleweed to roll to its inevitable doom. This issue read in like a minute, and yeah, there was a clever out of people knowing that Deadpool could be killed, but and then he farted some gasoline. So there's that. Thief of Thieves continues with someone new on dialogue, and we're kind of into a second phase now, and book's reading pretty much like it always has. It's still growing strong, and if you're not checking this out, I highly recommend it. It's definitely a different take and doing something different than you see in a lot of comics, and this whole thief thing coming up right now is something that is interesting, but this is definitely the book that really led the charge on that, at least for the mainstream. So, it's a book worth checking out if it's a trendsetter, right? Hawkeye, the second issue is out, and I'm seeing why this book really should garner some appeal. Pretty much every major superhero comic for the past so many years has tried to be on a bigger scale, where everything is personal and tied to the character and of epic consequences and this and that. And for all our crime fighting, how many actually just, go out and fight crime? Not necessarily the supervillains that are trying to kill them, but just, get into a weekly adventure or whatever, and then have some fun with it in the meanwhile. That's exactly what this book's doing, and for that, it's a little bit old, a little bit new, and it's playing, and for pretty much one-done issues, the amount of panels on a page really allow you to see a lot, and whereas it's not as verbose as older comics, it has so many pages, and it's certainly much more art-focused, and it's really interesting for that. And the drawings are not the most detailed, but they're quick, convey the point, then they move on. I mean, the panels are small, and so if you're conveying an idea with every panel, and there's potentially 10 plus panels on a page, that's an art its own that should be appreciated. So, just for the sake of it, I'd say pick up this issue just to get a feel for something that's doing that comic storytelling kind of a different light. And of course, we have The Amazing Spider-Man, and we have Alpha continuing to be a jerk. He's finally run away, so I understand that he was supposed to be hated all along. Okay. And again, I really don't think that last issue would have hit me as hard if it wasn't supposed to be this grandiose, hail to Spider-Man issue. It was just another one. I probably would have been like, what the hell? I guess we'll see where we're going. But anyways, that aside, see where it's going now. And you see a very interesting bit leading into Alpha No More. And it should be interesting to see how that plays out. But, again, not one of the stronger arcs. I'm kind of curious to see where Spider-Man's going. To see if something really switches up with Marvel now, if they're going to make him more of an Avenger character or not. Be curious to see. So, fate's already decided, I'm sure, but we'll see where it's going. I'm hoping Spider-Man picks up. I'm really curious to see about this Hobgoblin thing that was peaked at the end of the Lizard arc and just seems to have been forgotten for now. I'm actually very curious about that, And if anyone knows a good way to cheaply come across those old Hobgoblin issues, because I'll be honest, as much of the Spider-Man fan as I am, Hobgoblin basically precedes most stuff I've read. So, yeah, I'd be curious. Also, no Punisher for me this week because apparently my store just got a bunch of damaged copies, so I'll be getting that soon, and I'm really curious to see where that goes. And doubly also, I don't know how you guys store comics. I just found out buying stuff on Amazon's really awesome for getting like long or even short, but I'm going for long comic boxes and bags and boards. And so, should be awesome. Hopefully I'll get things stored so I can go access older stuff easier and do all that. And that's been kind of keeping me from reading some older stuff, so maybe I can get to some of that. Should be interesting. And just to say, if any of you are interested in a post the old Crisis Batman, Minutia Minute's doing a video a freaking day going through that. So you should go to his channel and check that out. He's actually been doing it fairly interesting, and a lot of people recently have been doing, a video a month, which is all well and good. Kudos. I don't even have the energy to watch all those normally. But having an actual theme to it, and I know Crimson Barnstar, I can never say it, is doing all this pre-crisis stuff, and that's pretty cool. But this focus of Batman and seeing that, it's been pretty cool. So, yeah, that's all. Peace out, have fun, and I'll catch you soon with another comic review. Oh, P.S. also, real quick, they see me rolling. Exterminating! Ah! Did anyone catch that freaking Doctor Who first episode of the season? I could have sworn Stephen Moffat could not write, but if he pulls off this season with every episode rolling like that, oh my god, he'll finally give Stephen T a run for his money. Oh my gosh. This is exciting stuff. Exciting stuff in Nerd World.